Part 47. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 461. Vincent's face turned completely black at this point. Shimazukoji was also a smart man, and he saw something in an instant. Don't mind, Marquis, this is what I calculated for myself. Vincent's face eased after hearing this. Shimazukoji, I need to stay here for 2 days. The special plane will arrive the day after tomorrow morning. According to the time, it will be a day and a half. He believes that the Yamaguchi-gumi will not find out that he is in Osaka so quickly. As long as he survives this period of time, he will really get rid of this dangerous place of life on the special plane. Shimazukoji's eyes turned and he immediately expressed his position, patting his chest and saying that he would definitely protect Vincent's safety. But he didn't think so completely in his heart. He received the news that the Tokyo Continental Hotel was razed to the ground an hour ago. Until now, the manager and concierge of the Tokyo Continental Hotel are still missing. According to his estimation, it should be because the marquis in front of him was implicated. He didn't want the Osaka Continental Hotel to become the next Tokyo Continental Hotel. Now he just prays that the marquis will not be discovered during his time at the Osaka Continental Hotel. If he is discovered, he will have to sacrifice the pawn to save the car. After all, the high table is far away and the enemy is close, so he will not give his life in vain for the man in front of him. I need to rest, arrange a room for me. Vincent rubbed his swollen temple. It was already past 5 in the morning, and he had not rested all night, so he was a little tired. Mr. Marquis, you can rest here, this is the safest place. No one can come in without a special magnetic card. This is a spare magnetic card. The first and second floors are entertainment places. Shimazukoji smiled and handed it to Vincent. In fact, the entire third floor is like a small shelter, with everything here, including rooms, beds, toilets, arsenals. And the food stored here is enough to eat for a long time. Well, go and get busy, Vincent waved his hand. In his opinion, these mainland hotel managers are no different from his men. Shimazukoji smiled and bowed slightly, then turned and left. Until he walked into the elevator, the smile on Shimazukoji's face disappeared instantly, and he felt a little uneasy in his heart. No way, how can it be a bad omen? Is my bad luck really coming? The elevator went up to the first floor. Shimazukoji walked out of the elevator, glanced at Akira not far away, and signaled with his eyes. Akira nodded slightly, and soon came over with 2 glasses of wine. What's the problem? Akira handed the wine glass in his hand to Shimazukoji. Shimazukoji took a sip of the red wine in the glass. Alas, Tokyo is finished, I'm afraid, you have to be more careful, and escape from the hotel immediately if there is any problem. Looking at the hotel he had worked so hard to build behind him, Shimazukoji said helplessly. Or surrender. Don't try to resist. He was afraid that Akira would not obey, so he emphasized it again. Akira frowned, rubbing his hands over his wine glass. You mean, the group in Tokyo might attack us? No way, we have no intersection with them. Akira still didn't believe Shimazukoji's intuition. After all, the Osaka Continental Hotel had never had a conflict with the Aoki group and the Yamaguchi group. They wouldn't attack for no reason, right? Akira himself was a little uncertain. I suspect that the Aoki group and the Yamaguchi group attacked at the same time just for the person just now. Shimazukoji pointed downstairs. Now Akira's face became solemn. If this inference is true, it is really possible. What should we do? Mr. Shimazu. Should we arrange some manpower? Shimazukoji looked at Akira strangely. If it's just the Yamaguchi group, it's not a big deal. I'm afraid of the Aoki group. Akira didn't quite understand what Shimazukoji meant. In the daily life, The Yamaguchi group was obviously stronger, right? Before she could ask, Shimizukoji continued with a gloomy face, the Yamaguchi Gumi is a legal gang. They have to consider the face of the government in some matters, but the Aoki Gumi never cares about these things. So Araki's proposal to send more people is useless. Isn't there a shortage of staff in the Tokyo Continental Hotel? It was still flattened by the Aoki Gumi. Now we can only take it one step at a time. Shimizukoji walked out of the door, sighed and looked at the dark sky at night. If it really doesn't work, he might as well ask for help. The next day, in the early morning, the members of the Aoki Gumi who had gathered in Tokyo took a car back to their own territory. According to the plan of the boss Li Qing, they began to clean up the Continental Hotel in the small day. The nearest one is Yokohama, which is only 28.8 kilometers away from Tokyo. It takes about half an hour to drive a private car. Because it is close to Tokyo, the Continental Hotel in Yokohama does not receive many killers, especially after the incident at the Tokyo Continental Hotel. The number of people received by the Yokohama Continental Hotel is even more miserable. Now most of the 2s and 3s in the hotel are internal killers. The Aoki group took down the Yokohama Continental Hotel without much effort, and then the Continental hotels in other cities were taken down one after another. After all, they were professional assassins, and the Aoki group suffered some casualties, but under the complete firepower coverage, the assassins of the Continental Hotel did not cause any waves. The news of the attacks on Continental hotels in various places soon reached Shimizukoji's ears. Shimizukoji sat in the secret room, watching the surveillance on the negative third floor. The lights were off in the room, and the flickering light of the monitor reflected his face. Vincent on the monitor walked around uneasily. Shimizukoji's eyes condensed as if he had made a decision. He opened the door of the secret room and walked out, and went directly to the negative third floor. "Marquis, do you want to have some fun?" Shimizukoji asked cheerfully. Vincent didn't say anything, but looked at his watch. There were still more than 12 hours before the special plane arrived, and he didn't want to cause any more trouble. "No, don't worry about me. Just bring me food when the time comes." Shimizukoji looked at Vincent's movements, and it seemed that there was not much time left for Vincent to leave. He didn't say anything else, turned around and got on the elevator and left. Vincent looked at Shimizukoji's back in a trance, not knowing what he was thinking. Shimizukoji entered the elevator with a wooden face, looking at his reflection in the elevator. He knew he couldn't wait any longer. Once the Aoki group found Vincent at the Osaka Continental Hotel, they would not let him go. He walked out of the elevator and without hesitation, he found a number on his phone that he hadn't contacted for a long time and dialed it. The phone rang for a long time before it was connected. A slightly magnetic baritone came from the other end. "Hello? Koji." "Hey, John, hello. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all." Author, Banwanqing Bulletin Liang. Chapter 462. As soon as John heard the voice on the other side, he knew that the other side was his old friend Shimizukoji. "Why don't you call me when you have time? How are you these days?" John Wick said with a smile. Shimizukoji on the other end of the phone was silent for a moment. "Not good, very bad, my friend. I need your help." Shimizukoji abandons the hypocrisy of small-time people, and there is not so much time to waste. He believed that the Osaka Continental Hotel would also be attacked by the Aoki Gumi soon, that was for sure. John raised his eyebrows when he heard Shimizukoji's words. Based on his understanding of this old friend, he would not say such words unless it was a very troublesome matter. "Tell me what it is, as long as I can help." "John, have you joined the New World now?" John Wick's joining the New World is not uncommon news in the killer circle, and Shimizukoji has known about it for a long time. That's why he called John. "Huh? Is it related to the New World?" John heard some clues from Shimizukoji's words. This is what happened. When Shimizukoji heard John's inquiry, he did not dare to hide anything and directly told everything. In particular, he focused on Vincent's stay at the Osaka Continental Hotel. After listening to Shimizukoji's narration, John pondered for a moment. I can only say that I will try my best on this matter. He understood what Shimizukoji meant, so he begged him to keep the Osaka Continental Hotel, even if it changed its name. But John didn't dare to answer with certainty. After all, John didn't know the layout of Boss Li Qing in his childhood. If the Osaka hotel had to be cleaned up, even the King of Heaven would not be able to do anything about it. He could only think of ways to save his old friend's life, and he couldn't care about anything else. Also, Koji, you must control Vincent. If you hand Vincent over to the boss, the probability of keeping the hotel will be much greater. John Wick continued to instruct. I will, please. John Shimizukoji also knew the importance of Vincent. The two hung up the phone, and John immediately dialed the mobile number of Boss Li Qing. At this time, Li Qing was having dinner with Nanako and Lily. When he heard the ringtone of his cell phone, Nanako stood up to get it without hesitation. Lily was a step too late and glared at her fiercely. Nanako didn't care, and took the mobile phone from the sofa and respectfully handed it to Li Qing. Hello? John, what happened over there? When Li Qing saw John's phone, he thought something had happened in the beautiful country. Under normal circumstances, John would not call him. Boss, the thing is like this, Shimizukoji from Osaka Continental Hotel. John relayed Shimizukoji's words again, and Li Qing put down his chopsticks and listened carefully. After a while, Li Qing thought for a moment that he still had to take care of his younger brother's face. Well, he should be responsible for converting it into the New World Hotel. He is somewhat of a talent, and it would be good to keep him to continue managing New World Hotel. Li Qing hung up the phone and immediately arranged for Aja to take Zaiuchi Amasawa to Osaka to capture Vincent. If he catches Vincent in front of the Yamaguchi group, he might be able to get some good stuff from the old fox. He just signed the contract a few days ago, and his hometown has started to contact him in the past 2 days. After all, the manufacturing industry in Zyogui is relatively developed, and some technologies can also be used in his hometown. Without hesitation, Li Qing packed up the information his hometown needed and sent it over. A big boss from the Ministry of Industry wanted to issue him a certificate, but he hadn't decided on a name yet. Shimizukoji was overjoyed when he got the news about John. He felt that the sky was blue even though it was already night. Vincent, you are going to be my life-saving card. Shimizukoji directly called his men and walked towards the elevator. This time he was going to tie Vincent up directly and punch him a few more times. After all, he was surrendering his name. The more severe the beating, the more sincerity he could show. Ding, the elevator sounded, and Shimizukoji led people out of the elevator. But he didn't see Vincent's figure, which made him feel something in his heart. It's broken. Quick, go and look in the house. Don't let him escape, Shimizukoji commanded his men. But what disappointed him was that after searching all over the negative third floor, he could not find Marquis Vincent. Asshole! Shimizukoji asked his men to continue searching in the hotel, while he quickly ran to the monitoring room and retrieved the video from the negative third floor. During the surveillance, Shimizukoji was seen walking into the elevator. After waiting for a while, Vincent walked directly into the weapons warehouse and took a pistol and several full magazines from it. Then he took the elevator to the second floor and disappeared into the dancing crowd. Shimizukoji quickly rummaged through the surveillance cameras, but could not find Vincent. He estimated that he had gone upstairs through the stairs and had not left the hotel yet. At this time, the Osaka Continental Hotel was turned upside down, and all staff were mobilized to search for Vincent. Manager, there is no room service. Neither does the entertainment department. I found everything I could, but still no trace of Vincent. Shimazukoji knew that the other party had realized something was wrong and escaped in advance. Scatter the people out for me to find him. He must not be allowed to escape Osaka. Send a message to the police and local gangs and use all your strength to find him. Shimazukoji shouted hysterically. If Vincent was not caught, he probably would not end up well. Half an hour ago, when Shimazukoji contacted John, Vincent had already changed his clothes and walked out of the hotel. It turns out that Vincent saw something wrong with Shimazukoji through some of his micro-expressions, and felt that it was not safe for him to stay at the Osaka Continental Hotel. At this time, Vincent was hiding in the alley and observing the movements of the Continental Hotel. Suddenly, a group of people rushed out of the door of the hotel and kept looking around. Humph, as expected. Vincent lowered the brim of his hat and walked into the alley without looking back. As long as he waits until the special plane arrives at dawn, he can escape. Amasawa Shuaki and Sakura no Haruto also followed Aja to Osaka overnight. When they arrived at the Osaka Continental Hotel, they saw Shimazukoji anxiously getting angry. What? Ran away? Amasawa Shuaki's nose was so angry that Vincent was his life now. If Vincent really escapes from his small life, he will have to find a geomantic omen to dig a hole and bury himself. Shimazukoji, you are such a pig, you can even let him run away, Amasawa Shuaki complained, tilting his head. Shuaki Amasawa and Koji Shimazu are also old acquaintances. After all, they were both mainland hotel managers in their childhood, so contact is inevitable. Amasawa Shuaki, why are you not dead? I want him to run away. If you have the ability, you can catch him. Shimazukoji choked rudely. Don't make any noise, hee, if we can't catch Vincent, I will prepare a cemetery for you. Aja had a sullen expression. If Vincent really ran away from Japan, he would not be able to escape the responsibility for his unfavorable affairs. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 463. Shimazukoji gritted his teeth, don't worry, he can't run away. There are only a few ways to have a little time, and I have already arranged for someone to go. Leaving Japan is nothing more than a ship or a plane. Shimazukoji immediately sent people to the airport and pier, and even the train stations and bus stations with heavy passenger traffic were guarded. Vincent couldn't get out of Osaka unless he walked or rode a bicycle. I guess Vincent is likely to leave by plane, Shimazukoji guessed. Otherwise, according to Vincent's character, he would have flown away long ago. Unless he couldn't fly, it would be impossible for him to leave through normal channels. I'm going to the airport, Amasawa Shuaki said solemnly. Aja glanced at him and ordered his men, you all go together to assist Mr. Tians. His subordinates all responded. Amasawa Shuaki didn't say anything. He knew that at best he was assisting, but at worst he was monitoring him, fearing that he would take the opportunity to escape. I'm going to the pier. It would be bad if Vincent leaves Osaka on a fishing boat while it's dark. Shimazukoji also whispered. Aja nodded. The current situation was not optimistic. Once Vincent took the opportunity to run out of Osaka, it would be difficult to catch him. The Yamaguchi group is also organizing people to find Vincent and let the Yamaguchi group catch him first. The eldest brother will definitely be unhappy. The group of people acted quickly and began to search all places where Vincent might exist. Vincent on the other side was a thief. He didn't find a hotel or take a taxi. I just found a 24-hour convenience store on the street, bought a bucket of instant noodles, and huddled in the corner, pretending to be a social worker who had just gotten off the night shift. He covered his brown hair with a black wig that came from nowhere. He also wore a peaked cap on his head and black-rimmed glasses on his eyes. He looked a bit like a mixed-race Westerner. This kind of people are not uncommon in Xylee. After all, the troops stationed in the beautiful country pass their genes on the women of Xylee from time to time. Through the glass window, Vincent could still see some gang members holding photos and looking for something. He shrank his shoulders and continued eating instant noodles. "Hello. Please give way." A Japanese greeting caught his attention. Vincent nodded and moved out of the way. A typical young social worker with messy hair and haggard face sat down with instant noodles. I saw the social animal take out an egg from the bag and crack it, then directly beat the raw egg into the instant noodles bucket. Vincent's eyes twitched when he saw it. He had never eaten instant noodles before, and he didn't expect that he had a unique way of eating them when he was young. The social animal felt that Vincent was looking at him, so he got the wrong idea, thinking that Vincent also wanted to taste it. "Sir," the social animal enthusiastically handed an egg to Vincent. Vincent waved his hand. He didn't want to eat raw eggs. The social animal shrugged reluctantly and put the eggs back into the bag. The two of them ate instant noodles facing the street, but Vincent realized something when he looked at the light motorcycle outside. "Is that car outside yours?" Vincent put down his fork and pointed at the motorcycle outside. The social animal raised his face that was almost buried in the bucket. "Yes." "How much?" Vincent asked in a deep voice. The social animal's eyes were blank and he didn't know what Vincent meant. What? Vincent touched his pocket and suddenly realized that he had no cash. After thinking for a while, he took out the only 5 Continental Hotel gold coins left in his pocket and put them in the hands of the social worker. "I bought the motorcycle outside." The social animal looked at him with clear and cute eyes, and then looked at the gold coin in his hand. "Sir, I can't have this, it's too much." The social worker put the gold coin back into Vincent's hand, but he was muttering in his mind, "I'm not stupid. If someone comes, I'll give you the gold coin in exchange for my motorcycle. This gold coin either came from an evil source or is fake." Vincent looked at the gold coin in his hand. "This is real. If you don't believe it, go buy a pair of pliers and try to cut it open." The social beast's head was shaking like a rattle. He was not a 3-year-old child. Vincent stared at him coldly, until he was stunned. Then he took out a pistol from his pocket and put it against the belly of the social beast. "If you don't drink a toast, you will be fined. Let's go. Come with me." When the social animal saw the pistol, he immediately cried and said, "You can't lie to me. Why did you steal it?" "The key is here, take it." Vincent ignored him. Now that the other party had discovered that he had a gun in his hand, if he really drove away on a motorcycle, this kid would definitely call the police. "If you don't want to die, just leave." Vincent blocked the pistol with his clothes and forced the social animal to walk out of the convenience store. "I have no choice but to take this kid away first, and then find a place to kill him, otherwise he will be exposed." "Big brother, where are you going?" The social animal climbed onto his little Mulan and asked pitifully. Vincent looked at the seat with only half a butt space left. "Sit in the humming back and show me the way." Just like that, the two of them switched places. Vincent was about to start the motorcycle when a helmet came out from behind. "Big brother, head, helmet." In this way, 2 adult men rode a small Mulan together and drove towards the airport. The road was very peaceful and there were no accidents. With the cover of the social beast, many gang members were not discovered. After all, no one would have thought that one of the 2 social beasts turned out to be Vincent. "If you dare to push forward, I will kill you," Vincent couldn't help but said. The office animal held the seat and tried his best to move his butt back. "Brother, the seat is so small, and there is a box for sundries in the back. Necessary contact is impossible to avoid." The office animal looked embarrassed. Vincent stopped talking instantly when he saw the gang members in front of him. "Forget it, we are almost at the airport anyway, just bear with it." Not long after, the two of them arrived at the airport in Xiaomulan, and the sky was just getting bright. Vincent was about to get off the car, but an acquaintance in the distance made him stop his cross-legged action instantly and sit down again. Ouch, brother, slow down. Vincent just sat down between the office animal's buttocks. Shut up, Vincent scolded, but his eyes were carefully staring at Shimazukoji in the distance. Asshole, this is not giving me a way to live. Seeing that the situation was not good, Vincent turned the car around and drove back to the way he came. He knew in his heart that the way to take the plane was blocked. The office animal thought that the big guy would leave when he arrived at the airport, but he didn't expect that he would take him back again. Brother, where are we going? You're home, Vincent said sternly. Ah, the office animal didn't expect that this gun-carrying boss actually wanted to go to his home. Although the office animal is cute and silly, he is not stupid. He knows that he will die when he gets home. So he took advantage of Vincent's unpreparedness and directly supported the seat, jumped off Mulan and ran towards the crowded place. Help, help, he kept shouting for help. Damn it, Vincent looked at the office animal who ran away fiercely, and stepped on the accelerator to the bottom. With a roar and a smoke, Mulan ran out of the momentum of the orange Jialing CJ50. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 464. The shouting of the office slave instantly attracted the attention of Amasawa Hidachi. He immediately led people to the office slave, grabbed his collar and asked, "What's going on?" "A pervert kidnapped me with a gun and asked me to send him to the airport, he even wanted to go home with me." The office slave cried incoherently, as if he had suffered a great injustice. "What does that person look like? Tell me." Amasawa Hidachi slapped the office slave unceremoniously to wake him up. "Ah," the office slave screamed and covered his face with grievance, that person looks like a mixed race, and looks pretty good." Amasawa Hidachi immediately left the office slave and started to call people to chase the black spot in the distance. The voice of the office slave came from behind, "Please, help me find my little Mulan, that is my only means of transportation." Amasawa Hidachi had no time to pay attention to him, he now suspected that the man was Vincent. "Leave a few people to guard the airport. The rest of you follow me." The group of people chased after him in the car. 5 minutes later, Amasawa Hidachi and others looked at the red little magnolia lying on the side of the road with gloomy faces. "Chase, he will definitely not run far." Everyone searched the woods on the side of the road. At this time, Vincent took the opportunity to return to the airport. Yes, it was a trick to lure the tiger away from the mountain. But Vincent's idea was good, but Amasawa Hidachi was not a fool. He had left a few guards long ago. Vincent crouched and looked at the members of the Aoki group who were on guard in the distance. He was not sure that he could capture several people at the same time. Once they were alarmed, he would definitely not be able to escape. He had to retreat and make a long-term plan. Damn, Amasawa is a thief. It is obvious that Amasawa Hidachi has been with him for a long time and knows some of his work styles, and he has stuck to his plan. It must be said that Li Qing's move to let Amasawa Hidachi catch Vincent was a good move. Vincent was also decisive. Seeing that things could not be done, he turned around and left without hesitation. After searching for a while, Shuaki Amasawa and his companions found nothing and simply returned to the airport. Anyway, as long as the airport was blocked, Vincent would lose a channel. With the help of the local Osaka gang, Vincent would be dug out sooner or later. Shimazukoji was not idle either. He checked at the dock for a day but did not find any trace of Vincent. They did not change shifts and rest until night fell again. At this time, Vincent also took advantage of the night and walked out of the public toilet. It turned out that he had stayed in the cubicle of the public toilet for a whole day. I am afraid that no one would have thought that the Marquis would do this. After sniffing the stench on his body, Vincent could not help but retching. He was afraid that he had been smelled for a day. Vincent's eyes turned and he knew that he was easily exposed now. It would be better to wait for a few days for these people to be less vigilant, and then he would take action to leave Osaka. As for how to hide, he also had a plan in his mind. The family of 3 walking in front was the best target. He could not stay in a hotel now, and ordinary houses were the safest. Following behind the family of 3, Vincent didn't wait for anyone to speak, and broke into the 3 people's home. "Don't move, I'll beat you to death." 3 days, 3 whole days. "No news, what are you doing?" Aja shouted angrily. In 3 days, there was no news about Vincent, as if this person disappeared out of thin air. Shimizukoji mobilized all his forces, and the underworld and the white world tried their best to find him, but Vincent was still like a stone sinking into the sea, without any trace. The only good news is that the Yamaguchi group didn't find him either. The Yamaguchi group knew it the first day after the Aoki group received the news. They also sent a large number of people to rush over, but there was no progress like the Aoki group. Amasawa Hidachi and Shimizukoji heard Aja's complaints, but they didn't say anything. In these 3 days, the 2 asked others to watch the airport, and they led people to watch the dock, and they worked hard. He may have escaped from Osaka. Aja calmed down and guessed. "It's unlikely. All our entrances and exits are guarded. His foreign face is easy to recognize in Osaka. The younger brothers carry Vincent's photo every day, and they should not let go of anyone who looks similar. Besides, Western faces are still very conspicuous in daily life. Mr. Shimizu, the police have received information that a family was found to have been wiped out in Nogawa community." Sakura no Harutoki came to Shimizukoji and whispered. Shimizukoji frowned and said impatiently, "Why do the police report all the news to us? I want Vincent. What does the murder have to do with us? The neighbors of this family once found a foreigner walking in the house through the window. But the strange thing is that the family was born and raised in Osaka, and it is impossible for them to have contact with foreigners. What's more, the father of the male owner of the family was beaten to death by the American people, so their family is very xenophobic." Akira then told all the information he knew. Aja, Tians, and Shimizu were all stunned at the same time. "Damn, a residential house? Vincent is very likely in a residential house. This case is very likely committed by him. Find him. Follow the clues." Several people immediately became alert and began to look through the police files brought by Akira. After reading the neighbor's transcript, the foreigner described in the transcript looked very similar to Vincent. This was the first clue to Vincent in 3 days. It also proves that Vincent did not leave Osaka. The most dangerous place is the safest place. This marquee is really something. Now we have to act. He can't stay for long. Tian's Xiaoyi touched his chin and keenly sensed that Vincent should be moving. The other 2 also nodded. This Vincent is very likely to leave Osaka or live a small life at night. Tian's Xiaoyi guessed correctly. Vincent decisively killed a family of 3 in order to delay his escape. These days he has contacted a smuggling ship and will set off at night, so he killed a family of 3 before leaving. Use their death to attract some people's attention. This time the smuggling ship is bound for Africa. He knows that the New World has a great influence in smuggling, so he has to find this kind of route that the New World does not like. Damn it, where is Swaziland? I haven't even heard of it. Vincent cursed. He will definitely not go to this small African country. As long as he leaves Southeast Asia, he will get off the ship immediately. But there is no other way, this is the only way to live a simple life. Vincent wore clothes that didn't fit him well, stretched out his hand and tugged at the crotch of his pants, and kept complaining about the shortness of men who lived a simple life. In order to avoid trouble, he didn't take any transportation this time, but took his number 11 bus and walked slowly towards the small pier. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 465. Osaka has a lot of rain in September, and typhoons pass through from time to time. Look, the drizzle falls on pedestrians as night falls. One of the pedestrians, unlike the others who are in a hurry, is wearing clothes that don't fit him, and a black umbrella covers most of his face. Only a pair of eyes show a blue color that does not belong to Asians. This person is Vincent. Vincent held up the umbrella and looked at the watch with the Mickey Mouse cartoon head on his hand. This is the only timekeeping tool he found in that family that is easy to carry. 8:23 in the evening, well, there is still half an hour to leave the ship, Vincent muttered softly. According to his calculations, the police must have discovered the deaths of the 3 people, and it would take at least a few days to find out that he did it. Vincent estimated in his heart, the sea is in front, and we can reach the designated location by passing through this fishing village. Out of habit, he looked around vigilantly. The pedestrians with hurried steps, the quiet streets, and the closed grocery stores, everything seemed normal to him. Vincent breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that he had a good chance of escaping this time. He walked through the fishing village carefully and came to the small dock outside the fishing village. He knew that there was no problem when he saw 3 lights on a wooden boat on the dock. The signal given by the man was the lights. 3 lights meant safety and 1 light meant danger. If no lights were on, it meant that there would be no business today. Bang, bang, bang. Vincent knocked on the wooden door in rhythm, and only heard a rustling sound inside the wooden boat. Who is it? Feeding the ducks. The wooden door opened in response, and an old fisherman with a dark complexion and wrinkles on his face bent over with a coat on his body. Let's go, you are the only one missing. The old fisherman was a little impatient. There were few smuggling ships going to Africa, and the money earned was not much. If he could not make more money by smuggling people across the border, he would not do it. The old fisherman pulled the motor and said, "Alas, I've seen many people go to Singapore, China, and Hong Kong, but this is the first time I've seen someone go to Africa. Have you done something wrong?" The old fisherman's words made Vincent tighten the gun in his pocket, ready to kill the person in front of him if he was wrong. "Old man, don't talk too much. Be careful that your life will not last long." Vincent's eyes flashed coldly. The old fisherman laughed awkwardly, concentrated on steering and stopped talking. After about 2 nautical miles, Vincent saw the lights on the smuggling boat, and his heart was half relieved, and a little smile appeared on his face. The fishing boat slowly approached the smuggling boat, and the old fisherman blew a whistle and threw a rope ladder from the smuggling boat. Vincent took out a gold coin from the Continental Hotel from his pocket and threw it to the old fisherman. "Keep your mouth shut, don't say anything you shouldn't." The old fisherman shook the gold coin in his hand and smiled with broken teeth. "Don't worry, I won't break the rules." Vincent ignored him and climbed up the rope ladder directly. There were already people waiting on the deck. When they saw Vincent coming up, they stretched out their hands. Vincent handed him a thick roll of Japanese yen, which was searched out of that family's house. The man looked at the blood stains on some Japanese yen and said nothing. After counting the money, he invited Vincent into the cabin. When Vincent walked into the cabin, he felt a sweaty smell coming to his nose. He fanned his hand to dispel the smell. The dim light made it difficult for him to see the person sitting on the sofa, so he squinted. "Hee, why don't you recognize me?" The voice on the other side was extremely familiar. He just had time to put his hand in his pocket when he felt a chill on the back of his head. "It's over." A flash of enlightenment flashed through his mind. "You bastard, I've been sunburned trying to find you." Amasawa Hidechi pointed at his sunburned face and walked over slowly. He had been running around outside these days, especially at the beach, where the ultraviolet rays were too strong. Even with the hat on, he was sunburned. Finally, I caught you," Amasawa Hidachi held his hair with both hands and smiled with relief. And Shimazukoji behind Vincent had the same expression. Now that he had caught Vincent, he had saved himself. Asshole, you're quite good at hiding. Shimazukoji took out a pistol from Vincent's pocket and threw it to the little brother next to him, and then punched him in the abdomen. Amasawa Hidachi on the opposite side was not idle either, and came up to play mixed doubles directly, as if the harder he hit, the higher the value of this token of surrender. It was not until Vincent couldn't stand the pain and fell to the ground that the two of them stopped panting. How did you find me? Vincent wiped the blood from his mouth. You are the only one who is careless. Did you use the landline of that house? Vincent then remembered that his mobile phone was out of battery and he did not find a charging device in that house. He had to use the landline to contact the middleman. I thought he would not be discovered so soon. After all, there are many murders, and it is impossible to completely point out that he did it. We can't miss any clues. After all, Mr. Marquis is our life now. Shimazukoji chuckled at Vincent, who was lying on the ground. Aren't you afraid of the high table? You know I am the Marquis of the high table. We are ready to join the new world. Do you think we are afraid? Tian's Shuaki looked at Vincent with contempt. Until now, the Marquis couldn't see the situation clearly. Haha, the elders behind you can't get you out of Zyrizi. I don't believe he dares to come. I'm not afraid to tell you that all the mainland hotels of Zyrizi have been swept by us. If the high table dares to come, we dare to kill them. Aja walked out from the shadows. This play has been played out, and he has to send this guy to Tokyo quickly. After all, there are still some questions from the eldest brother. I thought there would be such a day, but I didn't expect it to fall into the hands of the New World. Vincent smiled self-deprecatingly. He thought about his failure to split the Yamaguchi group and being caught by Kazuo Kusakari, but he didn't expect the Aoki group to intervene. Let go. Aja had Vincent tied up with a thick bamboo pole in the middle, and had him carried out like a pig. Let me go, damn. A man can be killed but not humiliated. I'm not a beast. You can't treat me like this. The angry shouts of Marquis Vincent drifted in the wind and rain. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 466. After the smuggling ship docked, Aja asked his younger brother to put Vincent into the trunk of the car, and set off overnight towards Tokyo without stopping. In Aokaibu, Tokyo, Li Qing received news from Aja after breakfast. Brother, we've caught him. Oh? Where did you catch it? On a smuggling boat bound for an unknown small country in Africa. At the headquarters of the Aoki group in Aoki Square, Li Qing finally met the legendary Marquis. Li Qing looked at Vincent, who looked embarrassed and tied up, and suddenly felt a little curious. Are you the Marquis? Do you have a grudge against Kazuo Kusagari? Zhang Dongzhou quickly moved a chair and placed it behind Li Qing. When Vincent heard the voice, he raised his head blankly, glanced at Li Qing, and opened his chapped lips. You are the leader of the New World, Li Qing. He had heard of Li Qing's name a long time ago, but this was his first time meeting him. He didn't expect that the young man in front of him, who was not much different in age from him, turned out to be the leader of the New World. I didn't expect that I would be defeated by you. Vincent shook his head mockingly. He has always regarded himself very proudly, and he used his entire family to gamble heavily to obtain his current status at the high table, which is even higher than that of the Inquisitor and the Forerunner. As long as the elders don't come out, he can even mobilize individual members of the high table. What? Not convinced? Li Qing smiled. Toki Yaminjai, there's nothing to be dissatisfied with, it's just bad luck. Without your intervention, Kazuo Kusagari would have died long ago, and now the Yamaguchi Gumi is mine. Vincent raised his head and focused his gaze on Li Cheng. Haha, that's not necessarily true. That old fox is not that simple. And don't sound so innocent. It was you who provoked us first. Li Cheng stretched out his finger and tapped Vincent. He continued, it was you who instructed Makino to attack the Aoki Gumi. You can't deny this, right? Before you put the blame on someone else, you have to look at the target first, right? Winner takes all. Now what do you think? Vincent shook his head and smiled bitterly. Li Cheng leaned back on the chair and looked at Vincent sitting on the ground, suddenly feeling that he was quite boring. Haha, you don't listen to what you say, you don't understand what you hear, you don't do it after you understand it, you don't change it after you do it, you don't accept it after you change it. People like you. To be honest, I still hope you can bring down the old fox. If you hadn't provoked the Aoki group, we might have become partners. Li Cheng said with a cheerful smile. Compared with dealing with the old fox, he prefers to deal with this silly young man. Without him, my heart is tired. The older you live, the more calculating and shameless you become. Old man, he is like this, and Kazuo Kusagari is like this too. Hearing Li Cheng's words, Vincent felt a flash of regret in his heart. He was originally sitting on the mountain watching the tiger fight, but unexpectedly he was choked by the tiger. In recent years, the change of identity, the expansion of power, and the manipulation of various gang organizations have indeed made him too arrogant, and he did not even take the new world into consideration. If he hadn't provoked the Aoki Gumi, even if he couldn't defeat Kazuo Kusagari, he wouldn't have ended up like this. Vincent thought everything clearly, and his straight waist suddenly bent down, and his whole person seemed to have lost his energy. Tell me, who is the elder behind you? Li Cheng finally asked the question that had always puzzled him. Every time in the dead of night, he felt that this elder was like a poisonous snake, waiting for the moment when he relaxed, and then bite him hard. Vincent remained silent. If he spoke, he would die. If he didn't speak, he would die. Li Cheng stood up, walked to Vincent, squatted down, and suddenly saw the cartoon pattern watch on Vincent's left hand. The dial is small and obviously belongs to a child. To be honest, I, Li Cheng, kill without calculation and never show any mercy. There is only one kind of person I am least willing to kill, and that is an underage girl. Wasn't the child very desperate before he died? Li Cheng pointed at Vincent's watch and said. Because of Nanako, Li Cheng still has a good sense of women who live in small lives. He also thinks that if Mount Fuji erupts one day, the autonomous region can also accept women in small lives. Hearing Li Cheng's words, Vincent's lips moved slightly. He could still recall the look in the little girl's eyes before she died, despair, helplessness and fear. Crow, please treat him well. If you don't tell him, then let him suffer a little. Li Cheng glanced at Vincent and ordered Crow. Crow bared his big white teeth. Don't worry, big brother. No matter how tough your mouth is, you can't stop my pliers. Li Cheng walked out of the door and heard the screams of crying father and mother coming from inside. Half an hour later, Crow came out excitedly. Brother, it's done. When he saw Vincent again, he had been tortured beyond human form. Tell me, you only have one chance. That old man Kazuo Kusagari is still looking for you. He is not as kind as me. If the answer satisfies me, I can give you a good time, Li Cheng said coldly. I can only tell you that the elder behind me is from the Middle East. He is Samu, the president of Baron. Li Cheng was shocked at first, and then turned livid. I had known for a long time that the elder might be an elder from a country in the Middle East, but I didn't expect it to be him. Good. 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 He took a deep breath to calm himself down and sneered. This person didn't end well in his previous life. He owned a large number of oil fields like the Goat Country, but he didn't want to listen to Ying Zhang, and he would be dealt with sooner or later. Now the Eagle Sauce is preparing for the Goat Country War and has no time to pay attention to him. Li Qing, you, said, give me a quick death, don't give it to Kusakari, Kazuo. Li Qing looked at Vincent with blood on his face coldly. Aja, how did the little girl whose family was exterminated die? Let him meet Satan in the same way. Aja's face was gloomy. He pulled out a dagger from his waist, squatted down and slowly pressed the dagger into Vincent's throat. Blood spurted out along the gap of the blade, soaked into the trachea, and made a gurgling sound. Vincent slowly stopped struggling, his empty eyes widened, and he thought of the girl who was killed in his dying moments. The girl's mood at that time might have been as desperate as it is now, and darkness slowly came. Send it to Kusakari Kazuo as a gift. Li Qing glanced at Vincent's body. Now that he knew the identity of the elder, he felt much more at ease. This time, I killed the Marquis under his command. Samu will definitely take action, and Li Qing is not a person who will sit and wait for death. Li Qing must investigate carefully and must eliminate all his overseas forces before the other party takes action. Especially Vincent's killer family. I heard that they are all retired agents, so we must start to deal with them first. And, since this is the case, let's do it once and for all, just clean up all the mainland hotels in East Asia and Southeast Asia. Dongxiu, contact the brothers in Southeast Asia and clean up all the mainland hotels. A trace of hostility flashed in Li Qing's eyes. When Amasawa Shuaki and Shimazukoji, who were standing not far away, heard this, they only felt a cold wind blowing, and a chill permeated their whole body. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 467. Li Qing gave an order, and the entire New World started running like a machine, especially the New World branches in Southeast Asia. The eldest brother has not paid attention to Southeast Asia for a long time. Everyone is like a chicken blood, wanting to perform well in front of the eldest brother Li Qing. Especially the old brothers Zhang Qiandan, Dehua, and Ergu, they don't want to be laughed at by others at the year-end conference. So in just a few days, all continental hotels in Southeast Asian countries were wiped out, and the continental hotel killers were driven away. It didn't take long for New World hotels to be built in various places, giving a group of desperados a place to stay. In East Asia and Southeast Asia, New World Hotel has completely replaced the status of mainland hotels. However, it is not without its drawbacks. Except for the Kimura, the beautiful country mafia, and the Yamaguchi Gumi, the other members of the high table have some complaints about the actions of the New World. Since Southeast Asia is New World's territory, they dare not interfere, but they have made it clear that New World hotels are not allowed to exist in their territory. Li Qing had already anticipated the situation and didn't care what they thought. When the New World sphere of influence develops into their territory, I hope they will still be so stubborn. Li Qing received news from all over Southeast Asia and had already taken over all the continental hotels. Now the entire Southeast Asia has been cleared of all pro-high table forces and has completely become the back garden of the New World. Qing, what happened to you and my father? Nanako asked curiously. Li Qing and Kazuo Kusagari fought each other from afar. The development of the Aoki group in various places has been restricted by the Yamaguchi group, which made Li Qing very unhappy. But the old man Kazuo Kusagari was even more angry. Ever since Li Qing sent Vincent's body, the old fox had been dissatisfied. He probably wanted to pry out some information from Vincent, but he didn't expect Li Qing to kill Vincent directly. Li Qing put down the newspaper in his hand and teased, I don't know, maybe it's menopause. I suggest he go to the hospital. Nanako rolled her eyes when she heard Li Qing's words. The two of them flirted with each other all day long. Forget it, I don't care. By the way, do you want to go shopping with me today? Nanako wanted to take advantage of Li Qing's free time and let him spend more time with her, otherwise her man might fly off to another place after finishing his work in Japan. Shopping? Okay. Li Qing thought about it for a moment and it seemed like there was really nothing going on today, so he simply agreed and just went to Chinatown to have a look. Shopping with a woman is nothing more than shopping. In Li Qing's opinion, women just enjoy the process of shopping. They don't go for specific items, but buy them wherever they go. Hurry, hurry. Otherwise that witch Lily is coming soon. Nanako happily pulled Li Qing out. Lily often calls Nanako little ghost mother-in-law at home. Nanako has learned this word after hearing it often, and she always calls her little ghost mother-in-law when she quarrels. Li Qing called Wu Wu and Zhang Dongxiu and took Nanako out. They hadn't been to Chinatown for a long time. Not long after, the car stopped at the intersection of Ikebukuro Chinatown, and Li Qing grabbed Nanako's hand and stepped out of the car. Huh? It looks more prosperous than last time. Looking at the crowds of people, Li Qing nodded. The passenger flow was indeed much larger than last time. At this time, Kenji Yamamoto, who was waiting on the street, immediately led people forward and said, "Brother, you are here. Hello, big brother." Wang's Aokigomi boy stood respectfully on the roadside and bowed, causing passers-by to stay away. Among them were Chinese people who came to visit Xiaotian. Although they were a little scared when they saw this scene, they couldn't help but look here curiously. Wow, this is the gangster from his childhood. He's so handsome. Hey, the tattoos are all up to the neck, what's so good about it? An artistic young man carrying a bag and wearing a ponytail said with disdain when he saw the exaggerated expressions of his female companions. That gang boss is so young and good looking. TCH, let me tell you that the gangsters here in my childhood are all hereditary, and that person is definitely the second generation of gangsters. The young man with the ponytail felt sour when he heard his female companion's words. He should be super rich. Look at the watch he is wearing. Almost the same watch in the luxury store we just visited cost $1.5 million. TCH, there are fakes even in my childhood. You're not done yet, are you? Li Qing smiled and waved his hand. Xianji, don't have such a big fight next time. It will be bad if the neighbors scare them. Kenji Yamamoto bent down and bowed. I'm sorry, brother. I didn't think well. It's okay, let the brothers disperse and you go shopping with me. Li Qing patted Kenji Yamamoto on the shoulder. Okay, big brother, please come this way. After saying that, he waved to the younger brothers and asked them to disperse on their own. Li Qing saw that there were more shops on the street than last time, and was about to ask a question. Yamamoto explained, "Brother, now our Chinatown has a large flow of people and has become the first choice for Chinese tourists to shop. Some landlords have split the shops into two and rented them out, so that they can get more rent." Li Qing frowned and looked at the slightly crowded store. Let them refund the rent and restore the store. The fire hazard is too great. Although there are more stores and the Aoki Group's profits have increased, fire hazards have increased. Also, it seriously affects the image of Ikebukuro Chinatown. This is not a wholesale street. If it is left like this for a long time, it will lower the image of Chinatown. Okay, big brother. I will arrange it immediately. In Yamamoto's eyes, big brother's words are like imperial decrees, whether they are right or wrong. Besides, he is not very comfortable looking at the shops. If Big Brother hadn't pointed it out, he would not know where the problem lies. Let's go and look ahead. There is a bun shop in front. The boss wished me a long life last time. Li Qing smiled and lowered his head to Nanako. That old Zhang is very interesting. Last time, he stuffed a hot bun into the hands of Gaoji, the dying boss of the Tainan gang. Nanako also found Li Qing's words very interesting and laughed with her hands covering her mouth. Master Qing. Master Qing, you are here. Come in and try the mung bean soup I made. Master Ching, have a bowl of fruit soup. Master Ching, long time no see. Some people who knew Li Qing came out to greet him with a smile, and some even brought food for Li Qing and others to try. Nanako looked at the scene in surprise. Although her father was respected, he was not to this extent. Passing tourists also looked over here curiously. Li Qing smiled and greeted, but politely declined the food. If he continued to eat from the street to the end, he might die of bloating. What do you mean by wearing this kind of clothes? The roar from the front instantly attracted the attention of Li Qing and others. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 468. Yamamoto Kenji's face immediately darkened. His elder brother had entrusted Chinatown to him for management, but he didn't expect that there would be trouble when his elder brother was inspecting it. He was about to step forward angrily, but was stopped by Li Qing. Let's go and see what's going on. Yes, let's see what's going on first. Crow swallowed the sugar cake in his mouth and muttered. Zhang Dongzia glanced at the sugar cake, fruit soup, sour plum soup, fried skewers held by Crow in both hands. Eat yours. Li Qing led people to the crowd of onlookers. I saw a middle-aged man wearing a baseball cap and blue clothes yelling at a young man. His face turned red due to excessive excitement, and the black-framed glasses on his nose were crooked. Me? What's wrong with me? What's the matter? You still care about my freedom of dress? The young man didn't bother him at all, and looked at the middle-aged man in blue with disdain. When Li Qing heard the words freedom of dress, he found that the back of the young man's t-shirt was printed with Japan surrendered on August 15, 1945. The young man turned sideways, and Li Qing and others saw that the pattern printed on his chest was the moment when Japan handed in the surrender document. You can wear whatever you want. Do you know where this is? This is Xiaori. This is Ikebukuro Chinatown. Most people are Chinese. What's wrong? Not to mention here, I walked over on the streets of Tokyo, and the Japanese didn't say anything. But you, the Tosa dog, barked here. The young man was also eloquent and didn't use any dirty words when scolding people. Good. Good young man. Great. This dog thing is really a dog. The Chinese tourists who were watching all applauded and supported the young man with their actions. The middle-aged man in blue was so angry when he saw the scene that he smoked from his nostrils. You are extreme nationalism. Extreme? Is there an extreme like Xiaori massacre? The young man said disdainfully. You will only make the two sides more opposed. Seeing that he couldn't win the argument with the young man, the middle-aged man in blue changed his tone to admonishment. The young man said with contempt, haha, opposition. We Chinese are born to oppose the devils, so what? As for you, I suspect you are the bastard left in China by the little day. The young man's words aroused cheers from the audience again. This is how it should be for traitors. Wait, I have called the police. Don't leave. The middle-aged man in blue was so angry that he directly pulled the young man's hand. When the passengers around heard that the police had been called, they all persuaded the young man to leave quickly, otherwise it would be very troublesome. When the middle-aged man in blue saw that the young man was about to retreat, he simply sat on the ground and pulled the young man's legs. The passengers helped the young man to get rid of the entanglement. At this time, a warning sounded in the distance. What are you doing? What are you doing? Several policemen from the little day rushed over. Seeing this, the middle-aged man in blue hugged the young man even tighter to prevent him from breaking free. Until several policemen arrived, he stood up. He looked at the young man with a smug look. You will spend the night in the detention center. Officer, this is my Zirizi ID card, I have joined the Zirizi nationality, this person slandered our Zirizi. The middle-aged man in blue pointed at the young man and started to speak, and then he told the whole story in the room. Okay, I said you are speaking for Zyrizi like this, it turns out you are a traitor. I will beat you to death. The young man was so angry that he punched him, and immediately hit the unsuspecting man in blue with a black eye. Several policemen were already angry, and seeing the young man still fighting, it just gave them a reason. Several people controlled the young man, and the man in blue covered his eyes and cursed loudly, "You dare to hit Zyrizi people in Zyrizi, if I don't let you stay in jail for a few days, I will take your surname. Go, go, take him away." Several policemen were about to take the young man away. The passengers next to him didn't dare to care about it now, after all, this was Zyrizi, and they didn't want to get involved. Wait, as soon as Li Qing spoke, he instantly attracted the attention of the crowd. The onlookers muttered to each other. Master Qing has spoken. This young man can be saved. That's right, let's see who Master Qing is. That's what I admire. Master Qing has a big vision. The tourists didn't know who Master Qing was, but from listening to the shop owners chatting, this Master Qing should be very powerful and might be able to save this young man. Several policemen turned around in astonishment and saw a tall young man walking out. One of the older ones saw the young man's face clearly, and his pupils shrank directly. He had recognized Li Qing. "Who are you? Go." The older policeman directly covered the mouth of the young policeman who was about to speak, and said in his ear, "Shut up." After scolding, he immediately took out the key to open the handcuffs, walked in front of Li Qing, and bowed 90 degrees, "I'm sorry, sir." He was about to leave with the other two, but was blocked by the younger brothers of the Qingmu group. No one could leave without the big boss Li Qing speaking. The older policeman turned his head and showed a pleading smile, "Sir, I..." Li Qing glanced at him and waved his hand, "Let them go." The older policeman was as happy as if he had been pardoned, and then hurried away with the other two policemen who were still wondering, as if they would die if they walked slowly. The middle-aged man in blue was not stupid, and he also knew that Li Qing might be a big shot, so he planned to squeeze into the crowd and escape while there were many people. But Zhang Dongzhi grabbed him by the neck and dragged him in front of the eldest brother Li Qing. Li Qing looked at the Japanese devil who was so arrogant just now. "I heard that you have Xiaozai nationality." The middle-aged man in blue was stunned for a moment. He didn't understand what Li Qing meant. Pa Zhang Dongzhi slapped the man in blue on the face, "My elder brother is talking to you." The middle-aged man in blue fell directly to the ground and couldn't get up for a while. The people around him showed expressions of relief. This Japanese devil was really hateful. Just now he asked the little devil to arrest the young man. "Stand up." Crow picked up a ladle of hot soup from a nearby shop selling beef soup and poured it directly on the face of the middle-aged man in blue. He was so hot that he screamed. Before he could recover, he was picked up by Zhang Dongzhi again. "My elder brother asked you something, but you pretended to be dead and said it." The middle-aged man in blue sobbed, "Yes, yes. I have Xiaozai nationality, and I just got it not long ago." Li Qing looked at him as if he were a dead person. "Well, okay. Xianji, let someone add some information to his naturalization file tomorrow." As soon as Li Qing's words came out, the people around him took a breath. Although most people don't know who Li Qing is, looking at the attitude of the police in Xiali, they know that this person has great energy in Xiali. If there is a problem with the naturalization file of the middle-aged man in blue, his childhood status will be invalidated, and he will become a stateless person. The misery of stateless people, you can search it, it's really miserable, makes me shudder just thinking about it. The middle-aged man in blue was also stunned on the spot. He didn't know if Li Qing had this ability. If so, the rest of his life will be extremely miserable. "Sir, brother, I was wrong. Let me go." The middle-aged man in blue suddenly knelt on the ground and crawled towards Li Qing, but was kicked away by Crow. "Er Japs, Go find your master and see if he can help you, Crow said with a sinister smile. The middle-aged man in blue looked at the backs of Li Qing and others, knelt on the ground and cried loudly. He went through all kinds of hardships to become a naturalized citizen, and gave up his Chinese nationality for this reason, but because of one word and a dispute, everything was over. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 469. Wait, the rescued young man caught up and bowed deeply to Li Qing and others. Thank you. Looking back now, the young man realized that if it hadn't been for this big boss, he would have been locked up for at least one night, which might have delayed his trip tomorrow. Li Qing looked at his sincere eyes and chuckled, just keep your original intention. Don't be like some of them. They have been out for a long time and forget who they are. Li Qing glanced at the passengers around him. Some of the people watching the excitement just now really disappointed him. Aja, leave the phone with him. After hearing the instructions from his elder brother Li Qing, Aja directly told the young man his contact information. If you have trouble in your childhood, make this call. Li Qing patted the young man on the shoulder, turned around and continued shopping with Nanako. The young man was stunned for a moment, looking at the numbers stored in his phone in a daze. When some shopkeepers saw Li Qing and others walking away, they gathered around them. When they saw that the young man had gotten the Aoki Group's phone number, they all started talking. Young man, what a blessing. From now on, I can walk sideways in Tokyo in my small days. Not only that, the Aoki Gumi's sphere of influence has now expanded to include every city and county in the past. Ah, just give it to me. It's a pity that this young man is here for tourism. If I had this, I could open the store all my life, and the police wouldn't dare to cause trouble. The young man listened to the surrounding shopkeepers chattering in confusion, and asked doubtfully, it's just a phone call. Who was that big guy just now? The few tourists who were watching just now have not left yet, and they are also full of curiosity about the identity of the big boss just now. In his childhood, the policeman's respectful behavior could cancel the permanent residence permit of the man in blue with just one sentence. This is not something ordinary people can do. Haha, have you ever heard of the Aoki Group? Lao Zhang from the steamed bun shop said mysteriously. Passengers around him were also interested. They immediately took out a cigarette from their pocket and handed it to Lao Zhang. I don't know. Bro, please elaborate. Lao Zhang happily took the cigarette, lit it with the man's fire, and took a deep breath. You have never heard of the Aoki Group, but you have heard of the New World, right? Most of the tourists still shook their heads, but when one of the tourists from eastern Guangdong heard the words New World, the expression on his face immediately became rich. Old brother, you mean, that guy just now is Mr. Li from the New World? Because he was so excited, he stuttered a bit when he spoke. Because of the close distance between eastern Guangdong and Xiangjiang, Li Qing's name has already spread to eastern Guangdong. Anyone who is a prominent figure in eastern Guangdong has heard of New World Group. Lao Zhang raised his chin, glanced at the eastern Guangdong man, and nodded arrogantly. The Aoki Group is the branch of New World in Xiaozai. Hiss! The people from eastern Guangdong took a breath of cold air. What's wrong? What's wrong? Tell me. The other tourists became even more curious when they saw the expressions of the people from eastern Guangdong. The man from eastern Guangdong did not resort to litigation and directly told others what he knew about the New World. Not only that, that big boss is very prestigious in Southeast Asia. Does Java know that? He was the one who defeated the Java Chinese Autonomous Region. The people from eastern Guangdong lowered their voices and did not even dare to address them by name. Could it be that, that person just now was Apparently someone remembered the incident 2 years ago. Although there is no big report in the country, some people still know a little bit about it through external channels. The man from eastern Guangdong stopped him from continuing, nodded, and continued, "That's right." Hiss, there were a few more breaths of cold air. Several people who knew the inside story looked at the man in blue who was still crying not far away, and shook their heads with pity on their faces. Tisk tisk, if I were him, I would hang myself from the beam. Well, I'm afraid this person will be worse than dead in the future. I didn't expect to see this big boss here, haha, I can brag about it when I go back. Eh? What's there to brag about? The boss and I have breathed the air of an area together, doesn't it count? Besides, I just spoke out for justice. You're awesome. As these people expected, Lao Zhang saw a man in blue begging in Ikebukuro Chinatown a few months later. In the middle of winter, he was still wearing the blue t-shirt and the dirty peaked cap, but his black-rimmed glasses were gone. I don't know if they were lost or broken. But no shop in Chinatown gave him a penny. He was so hungry that he rummaged through the garbage to eat, and was eventually chased away by the police. After that, the man in blue was no longer seen. Maybe he went to beg somewhere else, or maybe he died like a wild dog next to the garbage dump. This incident was just a small episode for Li Qing, who had been shopping with Nanako all morning. Nanako didn't buy anything for herself, but she ordered Li Qing according to her own taste, and bought some clothes for Wu Wu and Zhang Dongxiu. Without him, I can't control my shopping desire. However, going shopping with a woman is indeed a physical job. Li Qing didn't think anything of it, but Wu Wu and Zhang Dongxiu were exhausted. I swear, I will never go shopping again. The crow firmly fixed the box that was about to slip with his chin. Zhang Dongxiu tilted his head and looked at the road ahead. The tall box had blocked his view. Me too. Fortunately, this situation did not last long. When Nanako realized that she was hungry, she stopped shopping. The group returned to Li Qing's small manor. Lily, who was returning home from get-off work, was furious when she saw a pile of bags. "Little devil, you are pestering Brother Qing again while I'm away. Can't you learn from me and focus on your career?" Lily put her hands on her waist and looked at Nanotzi angrily. Nanotzi didn't say anything, but took out a black card from her pocket. Do you need it?" "No. I use my father's money to support my man." After saying that, she looked at Lily provocatively, almost making Lily crazy. Li Qing watched the two quarreling again, and estimated that it would not end for a while, so he shook his head and walked into the house with his hands behind his back. Crow and Zhang Dongxiu followed their elder brother Li Qing, sighed, shook their heads, and followed him into the house. "Xiu'er, I decided to go for the kidneys instead of the heart in the future." Crow heard the two sisters-in-law outside being jealous, and whispered. "Hee, I decided to go with my heart, not my body. Just one lawyer is good enough." Zhang Dongxiu now thinks that it is better to have one, at least the house can be quieter. "Me too," Crow blurted out. "Huh? You are a bastard. What do you want to do?" Zhang Dongxiu stretched out his hand and grabbed Crow's neck and shook it. Dog show, are you serious?" "Ahem, let go, I'm kidding." "Ahem." Li Qing sat on the sofa and shook his head listening to the four people's noise. Each of them was a worry. Hong Kong movies, I can see the loyalty value, I am not panicked at all. Author, Ban Wanqing Buletin Liang. Chapter 470. The New World Hotel of Xiaorizi was quickly expanded in a short period of time under the personal supervision of Li Qing. The New World Hotel and the Aoki Group supported each other in various places, gradually gained the recognition of local gangs in various places, and truly gained a foothold in the local area. Seeing that the situation of Xiaorizi was settled, Li Qing decided to take Crow and Zhang Dongxiu back to Gotham. The time for the transaction with the United States was getting closer and closer. Although Yuri was in charge, Li Qing still needed to go there to take charge. After all, the United States valued Li Qing. Li Qing himself had also contacted his hometown. In addition to clearing the inventory, he was also working overtime to imitate AK to ensure that the transaction could be completed within the specified time. Such a large transaction was also valued by his hometown. Nanako and the others looked reluctant. "Qing, can you stay for a while?" Nanako, wearing a kimono, circled Li Qing's neck from behind, and the softness of her chest pressed his back. Lily also looked at Li Qing with a pleading look. "Well, I'll come back next time, or you can come find me when you're free. Be good, this matter is very important." Li Qing himself was a little reluctant. He didn't come to Zaire very often, but now was not the time for romance. Nanako heard what Li Qing said, and she didn't say anything else. She just lay on his back and didn't move. Her lips gently kissed Li Qing's earlobe. Lily also came up and hugged Li Qing, looking at him with tears in her eyes. "Time is money." Li Qing couldn't bear it anymore, and pulled the two of them towards the bedroom. The voices echoed all night. The next day, Li Qing was refreshed and took Zhang Dongzhou and Crow to the flight to Gotham. More than 10 hours later. "Dongzhou, when will our customized private plane be ready?" Crow sat in the car heading to the villa and rubbed his shoulders. Although it was a first-class cabin, the comfort was still not as good as a private plane. Ordinary people would also have backaches after sitting for more than 10 hours. "Okay, stop complaining. It takes a long time to order a private plane, but I think it should be soon." Li Qing looked at Crow, who was sitting on the co-pilot, with a smile. "Big brother, really? That's great," Crow said in surprise. Zhang Dongzhou also looked happy. Crow was okay, but Zhang Dongzhou was even worse. He felt restrained when flying because of his large body. Back to the villa, Li Qing asked the two of them to rest. After all, their physical fitness was still within the range of ordinary people, and they couldn't compare with Li Qing. But Jaina knew that Li Qing was back, and she came to the villa to meet him as soon as possible. "Here is your copy, take a look." "Don't worry, Alex and I definitely didn't do anything." Jaina asked someone to put the information on the table. Li Qing looked at the pile of asset materials that Jaina had placed on the table, poured a glass of red wine and handed it to her. "Just come to give this? Is it necessary to be so anxious?" Li Qing smiled and raised his eyebrows. If she was just here to share the spoils, Jaina wouldn't be so eager. "She came right after I got home, and it was obvious that she had been staring at me." Jaina didn't say anything, but just stared at Li Qing. "Qing, you've been too aggressive in Zaire and Southeast Asia. The New World destroyed Zaire and the Continental Hotel in Southeast Asia, which caused a great shock within the high table. She, Alex, and Kazuo Kusakari were nominally members of the high table, but in fact, other high table members knew that they were the ones behind the New World Hotel." Jaina sighed. As an ally of the New World, she was jointly suppressed by some high table members in Europe. Kimura's business in Europe was affected to some extent. Although they didn't break up, they were not far from that level. Especially the old-fashioned organizations such as the Glory Society and the Skull and Bones Party, which have always been dissatisfied with the rapidly developing new-fashioned organizations. It's just the right opportunity to squeeze the living space of Kimura. Li Qing was silent for a moment after listening to Jaina's words, and his fingers kept tapping his temples. "Do you want support? If necessary, the New World can enter Europe." Jaina glanced at Li Qing and rolled her eyes. "No, I tell you this just to remind you. They will unite to deal with you next." Jaina knew what Li Qing meant. He wanted to take the opportunity to send the New World to Europe, just like the New World entered the United States, and eat away at the local gangs bit by bit. She didn't want to leave her hinterland to Li Qing. The Kimura's plan was big, and the old faction was getting weaker and weaker. If possible, the Kimura planned to take down the whole of Europe. Of course, This stage would be very long. Deal with me? I'm afraid they can't even leave their own country now, Li Qing smiled contemptuously. But then Li Qing seemed to think of something, and his face immediately darkened, unless, the Middle Eastern elders. Jaina sighed and nodded. Li Qing killed the Marquis directly in his daily life, and it would be really unreasonable for the one in the Middle East not to take action again. They haven't made a move yet, so be careful. Jaina looked at Li Qing and said with concern. Don't worry, I won't wait until they make a move. Li Qing grinned, with a cold light flashing in his eyes. The first to strike is the strongest, the last to strike will suffer. In this case, it's a good time to take advantage of the transaction with the military of the United States to test their attitude. If there is really an action against the Barren Kingdom, that would be great. Just keep it in mind. Jaina knew that Li Qing would not suffer any loss and must have his own plan, so she didn't say anything else. By the way, didn't you give me a French vineyard? Li Qing asked with a smile. Why? You want to go and see it? That vineyard is really nice. If I didn't have one in France, I wouldn't be willing to give it to you, Jaina said with a smile. Oh? Then I'll go and see it when I'm free. I'll call you and we'll go together. In the past 2 lives, Li Qing has never seen a vineyard. He has heard that the rich have their own vineyards in France, and they often use the wine brewed in the vineyards to entertain guests. He is quite interested. It's settled. I'm leaving first. Jaina came and went in a hurry. After telling Li Qing the news she knew in person, she didn't stay long and went back to deal with family affairs. After sending Jaina away, Li Qing sat on the sofa, thinking about how to deal with the elder. He narrowed his eyes and decided to assassinate the one in the Middle East. Whether he succeeded or not, he wanted to show off his muscles. Let everyone know that the New World has the ability to threaten them. As for the selection of personnel, he planned to send John and Arthur at the same time, so that the success rate would be higher. Come here, Li Qing called out to the younger brother outside, contact John and Arthur and ask them to come to the villa.